What's good? What's good with y'all, man? What's good, Raider Nation? How we doing tonight? Let me know if y'all can hear me. We got Thursday, 7 o'clock on the West Coast. Let's go ahead and get into it. Haven't gone live since the hiring. What do y'all think about Greg Olson, Tom Cable, Josh McDaniels, Ziegler? I haven't got a chance to talk to y'all about that. Let's see. Marvin Lewis, what up, Brady? I heard everyone to check out the Dan Patrick interview with McDaniels. His explanation of the thought process on the Malcolm Butler play, just the preparation is impressive. Okay. We'll make sure to check into that. TC in the building. I see you, bro. TC. NorCal Jesse, what's good with you, man? Let me know if y'all you popped up. What's good, right? You just popped up. Yep, I just popped up, bro. Just popped up. Let me know if y'all can hear me loud and clear. Y'all can see me. It's all good. Raider Nation. He said, what up, Ray? 24 says, yeah, Olsen out of here. Yeah, man. I know a lot of people wanted him gone for sure. Who else in the chat, man? Who else in the chat? Dave Maxfield. I'm liking what we're doing. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ray Love. What's good, Ray? You just popped up. Yes, sir. What's good with you, Prez? I see you, man. I see you, Prez. T in the building said, what's good, Ray? Love the hires. Where I'm moving in the right direction. Damn right. You ready, man? You ready? I can't hear. Let me see. Let's see. All right, let's see. Bring my guy in here, man. What's good with you? There we go.
What's going on, man?
What's up with it, man? We got the guy. We got the guy in the building, man. Raider Cody, what's up with you, man? How you doing? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good, man. We're getting this off season, obviously.
Yeah.
Coming off a 10-7 season, dude. I mean, you got to feel good about that. A playoff berth after everything that was against us. I'm excited about what's happening right now, man. I hope you are too.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Definitely feeling good after this year, after everything that happened. We're still in a good situation. But, man, this is the first time you came on to Rate the Tape. I want to welcome you to the show, man. Appreciate you being on. Also, just want to say, like, how you doing, man? How's your family? How's everybody where you're at? And how's life, man?
I appreciate that, man. The pleasure is mine. I'm glad to finally connect and get this thing going.
Yeah, most
everything's
definitely
good on my end. It's cool because I'm always busy. I'm always doing something, and finally work is allowing a little bit more time for me to finally get back into YouTube. But I learned the technical difficulties again today because I'm hooking up my mixer again and trying to get everything going. And, man, I'm missing chords and stuff from going back and forth to Vegas. And I'm like,
damn.
Man, the best I can do right now is to hop on the phone and make things happen. So I apologize. Things aren't as nice as I'd like them to be tonight, but
it's all good. It's all good. As long as we're up here, man, talking that Raider talk, man, it's all good. That's all it's all about, man. But let me get to the chat real quick. Everybody pulling up real quick. People are just filling in. Adrian says, how we feeling tonight? We're feeling great, man. We're going to get into talking about these moves in the front office, head coach, GM, assistant GM now. We got a couple new hires just in this recent time. Yeah. Definitely got to talk about Raider Dangerfield. I see you, man. I see you, bro. Bentley in the building. Joey Boy, what's up with you, bro? Casper out here. Yeah, a lot of people are out here, man. But let's go ahead and hop into it because we got a lot to talk about, man. Like I said, this is your first time being on. First time we've gotten to really have a good conversation about the Raiders in general. And
yes, sir.
Let's go ahead and jump into it, though. How are you feeling straight off the rip? How are you feeling about these hires, man? About these new hires, head coach and the GM?
I mean, obviously, you're looking at Josh McDaniels first, right? I mean, Josh McDaniels with his reputation, it's questionable, right?
Yeah.
You see what was going on. He served almost 2 years at Denver, and what he come away with? Kind of a bad reputation.
Yeah.
He almost had a head coaching job with Indianapolis, and he didn't. And then his representatives just dropped him after that. So you're like, oh, what's going on here? But hopefully you see, the growth of a person.
Yeah.
And he's even mentioned in the past, what he failed at in Denver. And that was mainly, building the culture, what it meant, to grow a relationship with the players, the personnel, and people in that building. And I think he understands it now. I mean, when you're with a franchise that, gosh, what did he win? 6 Super Bowls with the Patriots or something? I think 2 or 3 of them were as offensive coordinator. And, he's really built that off of kind of the same strengths that we've had.
Yeah.
You can compare, here we go. We're going to, things that can really blow back is you can compare Derek's strengths to Tom Brady's strengths. You can compare Darren Waller's strengths to Rob Gronkowski's strengths. You see Wes Welker, Danny Amendola, guys like that. Now we have Hunter Renfrow. So he's worked with a similar balanced personnel that the Raiders have. And, he's coming into a place that really is taking the next step at the NFL level and, brought in some crazy, high-tech facilities. The best of the best for the most part. And I think he's ultimately just set up to succeed.
Yeah.
And, that's where it starts. It starts with the coaching staff. Obviously, you look at the general manager and see what he can do on that side of things, but it starts with the coaching staff. And that's kind of what we've lacked. And if, he can take Mac Jones, a guy that's very lackluster, and take him to, top 10 in scoring. What are they, 6th in scoring this season? Sign me up and let's ride with it, because I think it's got the makings of taking this 10-17 to 11 or 12 wins, in my opinion.
So after watching the presser, though, I don't know how you felt about him before the presser or anything, or how you felt about him before we even knew he was going to get hired. But after everything and he's been hired, you've heard him talk about it. Was it reassuring to you, or was it like, it doesn't matter, I still feel the same way about it?
A little better.
To me, I feel a little better to me, just to hear him say, like, he grew, he knew what he had to do, he's going to be himself, and he's just actually putting it out there and just keeping it real, saying, here, this is what it is.
In my opinion, a little better. There's no egos. Like, they're just kind of ready to get down to business, and they kind of humbly accepted any wrongdoings. The whole it was a fumble thing was a little cringy. Like, it was cool.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
He said it, though, I guess. It doesn't change the fact. Like, thanks, but that's not going to win us over. Raider Nation's pretty thick-skinned. So it's one of those things where, hey, that's not what gets us. That's not what's going to make us or make you one of our favorites. It's going to be, come in and accept the guys that, we've loved over the years now. You see the Hunters, you see the Maxes. We bring in guys like Denzel Perryman, Trayvon Merrick, Casey Hayward. If you can take these type of guys under your wing, and kind of just, really just build a dynasty. Take us to the playoffs for a few straight years, make us contenders, and that's gonna be it.
That's what's gonna make us like them even more. You know what I mean? For those that do already like them, going out there and actually winning. And my thing is, we just came off of a season where we were 10-7 already, and we made the playoffs.
Yeah.
So at this point, it almost makes you feel like, man, if you don't make the playoffs, you're gonna be even under that much more heat. If you don't make the playoffs this upcoming year.
Exactly.
So
we'll let you know too.
Yeah, and with that aspect, it seems like it just seems like there's a little bit more pressure that hasn't been really talked about. But what do you think about the dynamic between him and then bringing in a guy that he worked with in New England and Ziegler? And what do you think about that dynamic? Because at first I was just worried that we were bringing in a guy that was going to potentially be a yes man to Josh McDaniels. That's what I was worried about at first. Watching it, though, it just sounded like he was sure of himself. Ziegler seemed pretty sure of himself, that he knew what his job was, and they were definitely separated as far as he was the GM and he was the head coach. So that was reassuring. What do you think about that dynamic, though?
It's almost weirdly similar, but not similar to how John Gruden and Mayock were. Both guys that you'd bring in and think that are going to make super major changes to your franchise.
Yeah.
But is there going to be a battle of power? Now I don't think so, because they're coming at the same time. Obviously, there's an agreement. It kind of seemed like a package deal. I like it. And one thing I'd like to know is how much of Mayock's scouting team sticks around with a new general manager. I mean, we had a lot of good guys in place. I mean, really going deep into the rounds. You're looking day 2, day 3. I mean, we're hitting probably more than any other team in the NFL the last 2 years.
Most definitely.
You know what I mean? So it's one of those things to where, hey, if you can keep the same foundation of the scouting team, you can get behind this guy. Maybe he brings in his own staff. Who knows? I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to work out, but I mean, I like the overall look of it. But I mean, for one thing I want to ask you, obviously you're a scheme guy. McDaniels and the Patriots have been a very run heavy offense. They like to mix things up, right? They've never had that star running back. They've never had that McCaffrey. They've never had that Barkley, but they've been really a top 10 offense year in and year out because of their run game.
Yeah. Can
you tell me, how much money would you put on the Raiders taking a running back or two in this year's draft?
It's tough to say because, like you said, they don't really worry about the name. They don't really worry about having a big name running back or anything. They'll have a running back by committee. There's so many names. Burkhead got a chance in Houston now. I think Sony Michel's in LA now. There's so many different guys that they play for, but they're balanced. I think they're run heavy, but they still are very balanced. And I think the running backs we have are actually would suffice, honestly, especially since how the contracts are mocked up. Josh Jacobs, I feel like he's going to stay, obviously, because of his contract. Drake as well. Rashard probably would be that one that you probably say, I don't know about, and then they maybe go get a guy in the draft and go ahead and throw him out there. But I feel like Jacobs and Drake are definitely going to go ahead and continue to lead this team as far as that rushing committee. But it'd be interesting to see if we did get a running back in the draft, man. I would be interested.
I think it's almost inevitable, dude.
Well, it's
rotate him in.
It's what round are we talking about? Like a later round, 3rd to 5th round, something like that.
I've never been an early round running back type guy.
Yeah.
And
that's why Josh Jacobs was kind of interesting. 1st round running back was getting Josh Jacobs. He wasn't all around when he got drafted. He wasn't coming out of the backfield catching the pass. Like a Najee Harris or anything, but I definitely agree. I could see us grabbing a running back a little bit later in the draft.
Yeah, just have something fresh. I saw someone here in the comments.
Let me get to the comments though, man. We're over 150. We're over 170 deep. Before I can't hit that like button, we got Raider Cody in the house, man. Appreciate everybody pulling up. Tashi says Doug Peterson to the Jags. What?
I just saw that right now. It's just announced.
Is that real?
Pop up. Yeah, kind of wild.
Yeah, dang.
Yeah, kind of.
What do you think? You could go ahead and say something. Doug Peterson to the Jags. That's interesting. I didn't see that one coming.
I feel like the dude just got paid.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. Agent Red though, man. He says Jacobs, Drake, and Rashard and Regas are good enough. It's the O-line that's the issue. Yeah, Regas. It's just he's just down. He's just kind of down the line. I feel like we could definitely pick somebody up. I like running back with speed. I feel like nowadays just because they're big doesn't mean they're not fast. You see Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry. There's multiple guys that are huge and they still run fast. Dalvin Cook, and I definitely would want a guy with speed. I feel like Regas is a little slow. O Jims also says, "What about Regas?" I feel like he's kind of in the Josh Jacobs realm. That's how he's built. That's how he plays. And I'd rather just have Josh Jacobs at that point.
Yeah, Regas is one of those guys that you just don't. I feel like every Raider fan has that one guy that you latch onto for just a little too long, and when you get like Trey Vegas, you know what I mean, or Vegas Regas, all the stuff that was getting tossed around, it's easy to latch onto that, but. running backs are, I mean, probably one of the most expendable positions in the NFL, and that's a reason that they're so underpaid.
Yeah. You look at the Niners.
Le'Veon Bell, everyone else holding out, and it's just not worth it. So, man, you just grab a guy in the third, fresh legs, and let him go.
Most definitely. Ray Love says, how do y'all feel about Greg and Cable getting canned? I'll go ahead and let you take that one, man. What do you think? What do you think about that, though?
That's a good one for me because it's kind of like the Step Brothers just got, kind of released in a sense, because that was kind of one of the things with this offense this year. It was just it was a little wild because obviously Greg Olsen comes in. He's always kind of been the glorified quarterbacks coach. Gruden ran this offense. And then Tom Cable's always been that guy that's, pushed his weight a little too far every single, position that he's had.
Swinging on people,
Yeah, when it, came to a spot of, Greg Olsen having the offensive coordinator position, then Tom Cable really jumped in and just kind of made things weird because he was almost drawing up plays. I mean, yanking mics out of guys' hands on the sideline, just not being a team player, not being the guy that you want on the sideline as a coach. And I think you saw it with the offensive line production. Obviously, the personnel struggled itself just with talent. But when you have guys like that when their skill position is struggling, and they're, trying to, take command of other spots, that's, I think, one of the main reasons our offense struggled last year. So I'm not going to say get ready. Josh McDaniels he's his own dude. He's going to bring in his own staff. And there's no reason that these two guys are going to mesh with Josh McDaniels. And just because they don't doesn't mean our offense won't, because like I said earlier, I think our personnel definitely will. But when it comes to coaches, no, it just wasn't going to happen. McDaniels, if he's going to do one thing, he's going to clean up that offensive room, and it's his.
Most definitely, man. Leroy Pitts says, Raider Cody, what's good with you, man? What's good with you, man?
Leroy, what up, dude?
Appreciate the super, bro. Raider Andy also says, Raider Cody, what's up with it, man?
There we go, Andy. What's going on, man?
Draw River says, I say we keep Rashard. His pass blocking down the stretch was vital. Yeah, I mean, well, definitely would.
In rotation, you know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely. But I feel like at this point, how much are we going to keep paying running backs? How much are we going to keep paying running backs? When are we just going to, like we were just talking about, teams will flow through running backs. They'll get a new young guy, and it's like we don't have to continue sticking with the same people. There's other running backs that could do the same thing and that are younger, and we could get them on a cheaper deal. So, and the fact that we're already paying Kenyon Drake, I don't want to continue forking our money in that position when we need help in other spots.
Exactly.
But I do agree, Rashard was vital down the line, down the stretch of the season. He did step up, man.
Yeah, I agree. I see you, Raider Gabe.
Rashard has done everything he's ever been asked to do. I don't get the hate. I don't think he gets the hate, man. I don't think anybody can hate on him.
Who's that? Rashard? No one hates on Rashard, man. He's what was that game, man? 2 years ago was it the Colts when he caught that third down catch. It was, just a floating pass between two defenders. Oh, beautiful thing, man. It's just a catch like that that's gonna make us love him forever. It's just one of those things. It's a year-to-year league. I mean, it's not what you did, it's what you're doing now, and all it takes is one young gun to come in, and if he can carry and get 5 to 6 yards per carry on 5 touches a game, then he's got a spot on an NFL roster. So,
yeah, most definitely. What do you think about? Let's go ahead and address this real quick because people in the comments, they were talking about Carr just wants commitment from the new management, and why is DC Ghost no comments on McDaniels? And it's been coming up. That question's been coming up, and I think some people have been pushing the narrative that they haven't really talked, and Carr hasn't come out publicly, posted anything, said anything public about the new hire, and I think people have been trying to push this narrative. I don't think there's anything there personally. I was actually listening to an interview with Josh McDaniels, and he was talking about he was talking about how Derek Carr is one of the reasons he came here.
Absolutely.
And Derek Carr has a lot of football left in him. So I don't think that narrative. I don't think that narrative is really gonna hold any weight. But what do you think about that?
I mean, there's a reason that the Patriots tried to trade for Derek Carr a couple years ago, whether that made headlines or not. And also, just like last year, there's a reason that the fans were making the same narrative about Derek not making comments about the new draftees.
Yeah.
Right. So I think it's kind of one of those things where it's, I think he's taken on the mentality in the last year and a half or so of, we're not going to do this whole, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm supposed to say. I'm just going to, I mean, he's 8 years in going on strong. So it's like, nothing else matters. Just like, former NFL MVPs say, the only thing that matters is wins. And I think that's just the mentality he's taken on. And I'm sure McDaniels or Derek was probably the first person that McDaniels called after everything was going on. He's talking to Hunter Renfrow and everything that's happening.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing to be worried about. It's just, here's my thing is I could care less about what's tweeted or what's said to the public in a presser or anything else. If we're winning 12 games in an NFL season, no one cares. No one cares. But I mean, hey, that's why I keep seeing Raider Honcho in the chat. What up, Honcho?
I don't think that's him. Maybe. I don't know. Peyton and Cunningham with the super chat. Appreciate it, Cunningham. He says, I really think it's vital we have a viable backup for DC, preferably a vet. Who would you want? Also, at what point before the season do you think Carr should get re-signed and how many years? All right. So, I mean, there's a couple questions in here. We can address the first one. As far as a backup for DC, because we know about Mariota. And now our backup is who? Nathan Peterman, right? Is Nathan Peterman? So I just realized that. So what would you address? How would you address that? And who would you want? Cunningham's kind of is asking that right now. That's a good question too, because I definitely don't want Nathan Peterman.
I mean, I wouldn't mind drafting a guy to sit behind him, honestly, and just kind of see how it plays out. I mean, worst case scenario, you can't see it as a bad thing because you can look at it as a Tom Brady, Jimmy Garoppolo situation.
Yep.
You draft a man a couple years later. Maybe there's a reason he takes a few snaps and he plays well. And it's a solid system. It's a solid offense. Everything's well lubricated and he looks good. And you trade him off for a second rounder or something crazy. Or even a first rounder. Maybe you draft him in the third or fourth round. You move up around in a year or two later, and there's nothing wrong with that. And a little competition for DC, I don't think is going to hurt nothing. So I think if anything, it's going to help. So draft a young guy, bring him in, groom him behind him. And it's one of those things where you don't turn Carr into the teacher, but you turn him into the guy of who else is better to lead by example. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In there every day early, and he's not the guy that says, do as I say, but, he just completely leads by example. So
most definitely. I agree with that. I haven't done too much into the draft to know any later quarterbacks yet. So I wouldn't even know off the top of my head right now which ones. But Cunningham also want to know, at what point before the season do you think Carr should get re-signed and how many years?
I think this offseason would be a good time to strike on it.
I would like
how many years?
I think one reason to have it done before the season is just to get that out the way. One less distraction. You don't want people talking about it the whole time you're playing, right?
And you can save money ultimately. I mean, you can stretch it out. You extend him 3 years. Mm-hmm. And maybe his cap hit, I mean, what is it? Maybe $18 million this year. I mean, you can drop that, turn a lot of it into a signing bonus. And maybe you save $5 million and you go out and get yourself another defensive player. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot. It's Cincy Cody I see in the chat. It is Cincy Cody. I like the Bengals right now. I mean, why not?
He said, "Hey, they knocked out the Chiefs. They knocked out the Chiefs, man. It is crazy because that's the team, you know what I mean? That's the team we had to face. The team we had that team that's in the Super Bowl is the team we had to face. So,
dude, and to take them out twice at home, to be the Bengals right now. Yeah. Dang, man.
But it's crazy because the Super Bowl is in LA and the Rams. So the Rams playing at home.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, so they took him out. So since he took out Kansas City at home, early January, and then a few weeks later took him out again.
Yep.
Like, dude, that needs to be us. That absolutely needs to be us. And I mean, hopefully we're getting there. But and now, you know, what's crazy is that's the one reason if we get into defensive coordinators at all, you know, Gus Bradley, I love him. I love what he did, and you know, we took steps forward.
Yeah.
But in one season, that's not necessarily gonna make a big difference. But that was our biggest crutch this season, was his scheme helped the Chiefs more than probably any other defensive scheme in the NFL this year. So, you know, if we can bring in a guy that can just press man Patrick Mahomes 75% of the snaps, then that's gonna be your defensive coordinator that wins this.
I mean, speaking of the DCs, how do you feel about the rumors around the Bears DC? Was it Sean Desai?
Yeah.
How do you feel about those rumors? And the thing for me is
he went in. He made him like a top 5 defense or something, didn't he?
But that's the thing. The thing for me is I'm looking at the numbers and I'm like, where is this top 10 defense at that they were talking about? And I guess supposedly the first 7 weeks it was a top 6 defense, but then afterwards now if you go based on points, they're 22nd.
So they skewed it.
If you go
points is all that matters.
If you go based off yards, then it's 6th. So you know what I mean? You could call it what you want at that point. And
you don't go off yards.
Exactly. When you talk about a defense, or when you rank a defense and rank an offense, you usually go by points.
You know what? At this point, dude, I mean, we're already the most hated in the NFL. Just bring in Brian Flores and just cap it off, man.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad at it. I mean, might as well get back at the NFL for
get back at him. Screw him, dude. I hope they hate us for it if we sign him, man. Like, let's roll with it. Or what's that? What do they call that guy? Wink.
Wink Martindale.
Yeah.
I mean,
bring him in. He was the defensive coordinator with him in Denver and got fired with him. And I mean, from what I see, I mean, for the most part, he's carried Baltimore to all the success that they've had.
Yeah, that defense is. I've always liked Baltimore's defense. I can just put it that way.
Bring him in.
Liked it. Let me see. Omar with the $5 super chat. Appreciate it, brother. He says it's a rebuild. Let's not sugarcoat it. And anyone blaming DC if we miss the playoffs and not or clown DC should demand a trade. I want to say it's a rebuild. I don't really see the rebuild personally. I don't see the rebuild.
Only in the front office. That's about it. You know what I mean? I mean, you're rebuilding the team and
the front office. Yeah, I can see that you're rebuilding the front office, but as far as like the team,
we're not built for it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not in a position, I don't think, to really rebuild. I mean, we have too many young guys that are due for contracts more than you can.
Aren't we the second youngest or the youngest team in the NFL?
We're close, man. We're
freaking. So you know, we got a lot of guys that have to re-sign. I mean, 2 big names right off the bat that we all know of. You know, Crosby and Renfro right off the bat.
Yeah,
they're on rookie contracts.
You could even re-sign Perryman. I mean, depending on the defensive coordinator we bring in, you could bring back Hayward. But I think we bring in a young safety. I wouldn't mind. Man, we got a lot of potential here. We have so many just little holes here and there. You bring in maybe a vet safety to pair with Merrick. Maybe you fill in another hole. You got to figure out what you're doing with Mullen. Figure out what you're doing with Hayward, and then bring in another corner. So
would you want to keep Bradley or get rid of him? And that's what I'm saying. So if you had to choose, you bring in a guy like Sean Desai, right? Or you bring up a guy like Wink Martindale, which I haven't heard any rumors about him, but I'm just saying in general, you have those guys, right? But you have currently Gus Bradley. Would you want to switch that up?
Oh, that's tough. That is so tough, man. It's one of those things to where I would love almost more to see a defensive coordinator like Gus Bradley get a second year to implant his scheme and build his personnel into a system. Because it's now it's to the point to where, hey, you bring these guys back in the offseason, they already know what they're going to do, and now you build off that. I mean, no matter what, we're probably going to hit a pretty big reset on everything besides defense anyways, no matter what they decide. So, I mean, if you're just going to do a full-blown reset, do it now. And I don't know. Why does Cody look like an avatar of himself?
What?
Because I'm on an iPhone. I don't have my equipment.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm sorry, Fish and Riffs.
Raider Bird says Mahomes and Herbert cars up Bradley's D too easily.
That's what I said earlier. Mahomes.
He diced up Mahomes. Mahomes diced up his defense, but I don't think Herbert. I think Herbert just, I don't know. He didn't really dice up his defense. I don't think so. But Herbert?
Who cares? Telling you. We knocked that guy straight out the playoffs. I'm not even worried about them right now. Chargers got a Charger, man. Raiders got a Raider, but Chargers Charger harder. It's rough.
Yeah, most definitely. Ramblin says upgrade on the DC. Yeah, I feel like if there's an upgrade for DC, you upgrade it. But I feel like Gus Bradley has implemented a good system, and he knows what players to bring in that are going to thrive. And I feel like that's what helped the last draft is by getting Diablo, Nate Hobbs, Trayvon Merrick. And he's the one, helping gathering this talent because his track record is wherever he's gone, there's been talent. When he was with the Chargers, they consistently had talent on the defense. When he was with the Jags, same thing, all the way back to the Seahawks. So, and then all of a sudden he comes to us, and then we got a guy in Hobbs and Trayvon Merrick and Diablo. We brought in a bunch of names in free agency, and without him, we would have never got them. Guys like Darius Philon, Casey Hayward, Denzel Perriman, dudes that actually were productive and did a lot in the defense. So, it's just I think he gets a lot of shit because of his cover 3 scheme, though, man. And he I don't know if he's stubborn or what it is, but he definitely needs to do a lot of things to maybe switch it up a little bit. But I definitely like his talent and evaluation and the way he's able to put guys in position to be successful. That's what I like a lot about him. And another thing about Gus Bradley is I don't put too much on him because I noticed the players will drop a lot of interceptions. You're in position to win. Yeah. Your coach put you in the place to win. He's coached you good enough to get you where you need to be, and you don't catch the ball at that point. You can't say nothing to the coach, right? I think there's at least 2 games we could have closed this year with interceptions. We could have potentially caught it
for sure. The Bengals
won, but it's like we're dropping these picks. So that I just try to be transparent in that aspect of it, man.
Great.
But I know a lot of people will say, like Ramblin' Bones, 6 fourth downs. Herbert did that on our defense, and Chiefs closed to 100 points on our D. Gus had to go. Yeah, and I agree, bro. And I agree, man. I agree. Definitely agree. Felt like Merrick dropped one of the games.
Was that not one of the craziest games you've seen as a Raider fan? I mean, obviously with everything on the line, it escalated it, but
yeah,
dude, 4th and 10. I couldn't even tell you. I was at that game, and I just so happened to be sitting next to the only dang Panthers fan in the entire stadium.
What the hell?
Yeah, exactly. There's random NFL fans that go to Raider games because obviously Vegas. I just so happened to be sitting right next to him.
It was a good game to go to. Shit.
It was a good game to go to, but it's just like then you get guys like him that want to sit there and they act like because they got no skin into the game that their opinion is more valued than me because obviously I'm biased and I'm a homer and I'm cheering for one of the teams, but he feels the need to have to like explain all these different things. And every time it was 4th and 10, he'd be like, damn, man, another 4th and 10. I'm like, thank you for having to say that, but you can shut up. Like we all see the down and distance on the field. Just shut up and sit there in your Curtis Samuel jersey.
Curtis Samuel ain't even on the Panthers. That's what's anymore.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Exactly.
That's funny. Mike Moore says, "Bro, 4th and 21." I'm just glad we won that game. How about that? Well, I'm glad we won that game. We pulled that one out, man, because it was a tough one. I know Bradley gets a bad rap. Alex says, "I was lost on Bradley when we gave up multiple plays into the end zone across the season and multiple 4th and longs. That's on coaching. Got to be better than that." Definitely agree. There's the pros and the cons. He said worst red zone defense in 30 years. Oh my gosh! Now y'all really diving
offenses
into
too is our problem. It's just like anything in the red zone.
Yeah,
we're just. I mean, we would bend and break easily.
Yeah, you said we would bend and break. No, most definitely. But you know, this is a topic that's been swirling around. You know what I mean? And it's been going on. And ultimately, is would you pay Devontae Adams? We know he's friends with Derek Carr. You know they're close. They played in Fresno, but would you pay him his asking price, man? 30. Would you pay him that 30?
Now, obviously, he deserves to get paid a lot. But is he asking that because maybe he thinks that Rodgers won't be around? You know, is he asking that much to, you know, just stay in Green Bay?
Get out of there?
Be there, yeah. Pay me. I don't know. I mean, I think I would. And maybe it's just I live 45 minutes from Fresno. So I watched him play a lot of college ball. So maybe it's just me, you know, saying I would. But, you know, when you get that connection and two guys that really want to play with each other, I mean, you get how Crabtree and Derek were for, you know, a little over a year.
Yeah.
How Hunter and Derek are right now. If you get a guy like that, but with always arguably top 3 wide receiver talent, pair him up, I think you kind of just have to. If that's one of the missing pieces, and you have a good draft. I mean, take the team you have now, have another decent draft where you can, you know, land maybe 2 more starters, and add Devontae Adams. I mean, I think we're AFC contenders.
Man, for me personally, I ain't paying Adams no 30 million. I can't do it. I just think, man, like I'd rather give somebody the car and then go get a different receiver that's 20 or less and then get a guy in the draft.
Who's the highest paid wide receiver right now?
Outside of Devontae Adams?
Yes.
I mean, you can go Robinson, Chark, Kirk, potentially.
So we got Hopkins. Hopkins making 27 average.
Oh, you said the highest paid?
Highest paid.
Oh, I thought you said free agents. Oh,
yeah. So we got Hopkins making 27.
Yeah, Hopkins gets 27.
Julio making 22. Keenan making 20. And Cooper making 20. I expect him to drop a little bit.
That's funny. They're already trying to get rid of him.
Yeah. Like we didn't warn them.
They trapped themselves. You send a first-round pick, you trap yourself with the guy, have to pay him now because you already gave away a first-rounder. Now you're trying to get him. I mean, 30 million. Yeah, 30 million is too much for me. I just can't do it. Like, because if you think about it, you'd give him 30. How much would you have to give Carr?
More.
35?
Probably. And that's I don't know.
Because I think people, when it comes to the quarterback, will think like Derek Carr is going to get a lot of money, but really, when you compare it on the market, it's not that much, right? Especially the last couple of years, we're paying him 20, maybe 20 or a little bit less the last couple of years, and you got guys Kirk Cousins, Jimmy Garoppolo, Ryan Tannehill, getting paid nearly double than what Derek Carr does.
Yeah.
So, you know, him actually making 30, 35, I should probably say, in a fair zone, him making 35, that was like, it's really not that much. He'd be making what Jimmy Garoppolo makes right now, I think.
Dave Maxfield in the chat says give Devontae 27.1. It's actually his annual. Let's see. Hopkins is 27.25. So let's give him like 27.3. Make him the highest. I mean, you know he's gonna be the highest paid. That's the problem with the NFL right now is the gap of becoming the highest paid is just absurd.
Yeah.
You're not just like barely nosing them out because you're going to negotiations like, oh, well, then next year so-and-so is going to get paid more than me, so I need to really overshoot them.
Yep. And that's what kind of had me thinking something about Waller when I had heard about who was it? I think it was Goddard from the Eagles had got a contract. And he had got a contract from them. I think it was 3 years, 15 a year. And it had me start to think, okay, what about Waller? what would Waller be looking like? Because I think he's coming up on some type of on an extension.
He's only getting like $9 million, isn't he?
7, I think.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, he's getting about 7. So realistically, he should be getting around 15. Like, let's be honest.
And this season didn't really help him though. So
exactly, yeah. It didn't.
Are we going to get into a situation where he knows his value, but the Raiders are like, yo, but look at this last year?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know, man. I think it's going to be a little.
And you got to think Waller kind of started his career, caught tread a little bit later.
Yeah.
So he's about to be 30. He's about to be 30 years old. You know what I mean? And he's been playing pretty good at a pretty high level for maybe 2 years now, but he's about to be 30. So, what kind of contract would you turn around and give him? What kind of extension would you turn around and try to give him? Being 30 years old, you're coming off of a year to where you had problems. You couldn't really stick around because you had some injuries.
Yeah.
Even late into the year when playoffs, like the playoffs are on the line, you still couldn't come back in. Even in late games, at least against the Chargers or something like that. He did make the wild card, of course, but I didn't think he was going to miss that much time with the injury that we had heard about. But
what's going on, bro?
And that's why I don't know everything about the cap. But if you give Adams like a 30, and you turn around and want to give Carr, bump his up, give him an extra, give him 35. And that's 65 between two players, and then you got to turn around and give Crosby, and I wonder what kind of money Crosby would get plus Renfro, and if we would want to extend.
We got a lot of money to pay, man. I mean,
yeah. So, that's all I think about. This is all I think about. And do we need Davante Adams to be successful is another question I asked myself, and I'm like, man, if we're able to, I think personally. This is your first time here, you know what I mean? But personally, I think Derek Carr is good enough to do a lot for an offense, even without a Davante Adams. That's me. A lot of people don't feel that way.
Well, and has Josh McDaniels' offense has ever really been surrounded by a star wide receiver? No.
Yeah.
It's literally been built off of what we have right now, a lackluster offensive line. And that's one of the reasons that Tom Brady even left, I feel like, was because – the wide receiver talent was never there. You got your slot guy in Hunter Renfro, and hopefully they do bring in more talent on the outside because we do need it. I mean, Deshaun Jackson isn't going to cut it.
See, and that's kind of what frustrates me is that people think players like a Deshaun Jackson can come in and really fulfill a role that we need, and think it's like sustainable. It's like, no, we need some consistency. We need guys that are going to be here 3 to 4 years. We're not looking at, he literally gets dropped from a team and then we go pick him up. You know what I mean? It's like, you got to think about these dynamics, there's a reason he's a free agent. There's a reason we were able to go get him just like on a whim in the middle of the season. So
I see Randy Moss in the comments. Randy Moss, I don't think was even on the page. That was before Josh McDaniels was offensive coordinator, I believe.
Yeah. So it was right between. So he had left. I think Randy Moss got there in 2009. And that's
but he was only offensive assistant or something, I think, whenever he was there.
When did he go to the Broncos? In 2009 or 10?
09 or 010.
Yeah.
One of those two.
So I think it was 2009. Then he left the Broncos in 2011 or something like that.
But when he came back to the Patriots in 2011 or 2012,
Randy Moss was gone.
I don't think he was offensive coordinator quite yet, right?
No, he wasn't offensive coordinator, but I don't think – because I think after the Broncos, he went to St. Louis, right?
Yes.
Went to St. Louis. Then he went back to the Patriots. But, I had looked those numbers up with Randy Moss because I remember someone had asked the question, well, did Tom Brady ever need a number one wide receiver? It was somewhat of like a facetious comment, statement or whatever you want to question. And, and then I look and then you look and it's like, he had Randy Moss going for $1,400 a season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For like 4 years straight with who was with him? Wes Welker at the time, I believe. So it was like, he did. There was a time he did have it, and it's not like Randy Moss is common. You're not just going to find a Randy Moss anywhere. So
exactly.
Can't Stop, Won't Stop says, pass on Adams, pick up Robinson in the free agency, and get Christian Watson or Burks in the draft. Interesting approach to it. I do like the approach. I've said this before. Go get someone cheaper like Robinson and then go get a guy in the draft. I've always thought that was it would work that way. You have a Renfro already, and you tag that with a guy like Robinson, then you could go get your somewhat speedster type guy in the draft. I've liked that approach. What do you think about this?
I like Robinson because he's like that possession type.
Yeah.
You don't need some flashy wide receiver for this offense to succeed with Derek. It's just like Crabtree. Crabtree was, I'm not going to call him slow, but he kind of was.
Yeah.
He was crafty, just like Robinson was, and can come up with a big catch. And that's exactly how Renfro is. Imagine having two Renfros, and that's basically what you get with Renfro and Robinson. Play two different positions. So
good route running and everything.
Yeah,
good route running out of that, and
I think it works.
And he says Burks. Personally, Burks is my favorite receiver in the draft. I don't know if you know much about him.
Only heard. Haven't looked at him too much though. Only heard.
Yeah, he's like a. I want to say he's like DK Metcalf. He's a little bit smaller, I believe. Probably not as. I don't think he's as fast either. But he's still fast. I mean, not everybody's gonna be as big as fast as DK. No, but he has good hands. He has good hands as well. But I think he goes way before our 22nd pick, man. Goes way before our 22nd pick. But yeah, we've touched on pretty much almost everything. But I do wanted to touch on one topic just a little bit more, and it was about Derek Carr's future in Vegas. Do you see without a doubt, he's gonna get a 3-4 year contract extension?
I would say so. Just because I'm not really seeing the pushback or frustration. It's kind of one of those things where, he's the one guy that's kind of carrying over. There's the few leaders on the team that carried this team to 10-7. And he was obviously one of them. There's that consistent factor that held his group accountable. I think it happens, and like I said, it's not just about him getting paid more or anything like that. But people forget the fact that it's just it does become team friendly. You can save money, and I think at some point with hopefully I'd love to see the money that Mark made this year, finally having fans in Vegas. But hopefully he finally has, the money to spend on his football team. Obviously he made the Aces coach.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Made her like the highest paid. The first was like $1 million head coach in WNBA history. So hopefully he can take that and, obviously it's one thing to push weight and something like that isn't way overblown like the NFL, but hopefully he can take a little bit of that weight and push it towards his NFL team. And I think he finally will. Bigger signing bonuses. There's ways to manipulate the cap and make things team friendly, even though you're paying a bunch of superstars. And I think the first step to that is taking your quarterback that's maybe top 15 right now paid quarterback, and almost can keep him in that same window. But extend him a little longer, if not save a little bit more, and give him even an option of having an out and in the future, and seeing how this could be the last. Like, hey, Derek could see this as, hey, you have one more chance, Raiders, to, even though it's not a rebuild, we're not going to call this the personnel rebuild, but seeing the way the front office is changing over. Now you're getting a new general manager. You're getting a new head coach, which is going to be your offensive coordinator and Josh McDaniels, just like what he went through 3 years ago with John Gruden. He's getting a quarterback's coach that looks like he's 15 years old. He doesn't know who any of these guys are. They're just coming in, and hopefully everything works out. And for a guy to be at that level in his career, as a Raider fan, obviously I hope that he has a mentality, I just want to win the Super Bowl. And if I feel like I can't win the Super Bowl here, he's going to want to go win it somewhere else. And hopefully, the Raiders feel like, hey, if you don't want to win the Super Bowl with us, then like deuces. But I think this is the last chance of, hey, here's another 3-year extension. And it works. It works, and then in 3 years we talk about, hey, maybe he gets another really good team-friendly extension that only helps us keep building a playoff team because that's what it comes down to. You know, there's no reason. I'd love to see him take a really good team-friendly contract, but there's no reason for him to right now. There really isn't. You know what I mean? Why take a team-friendly contract when you don't know where that's going to be going or if it's going to be worth it? I mean, for me, if I'm an NFL player and I'm going to play for a franchise that I don't know that's going to succeed, all I'm going to do is just try to at least get paid. You know what I mean? At least
Now, would you think now there's a dynamic I had thought about, and I had been on a lot talking about it once, to where he would wait, you know, just to say if Adams were to come in, to wait to sign his contract after they sign Adams.
Yeah.
So then he's like, "Oh, I'll take a team-friendly deal now."
Yeah.
No,
absolutely.
I just think that's something that definitely could be, you know what I mean, something that could happen. You know,
you're right on the money.
You know,
you're
like
right on the money. That's kind of the same thing I'm saying. You know, why take a team-friendly deal or why wait if you don't know where that's going to go anyways? But hey, if you're waiting and you're like, oh, but we're going to bring in your best friend and make him your number one wide receiver, then that's going to work.
Yeah.
Or you have a guy like Champ Kelly that's like, oh, hey, just so you know, your buddy that you used to dunk on in the pool wants to come back to Vegas. Oh, your buddy that used to play for the Raiders, number 52, defensive end, doesn't like Chicago and wants to go somewhere else. Maybe he'll come back here. Oh, let's take a team-friendly deal, which he doesn't like Chicago and he wants out. And, you know, maybe he's a little reserved right now and takes a little cheaper contract. Maybe he comes back.
It'd be interesting. I mean, it'd be interesting. I've been hearing people kind of you know, throw that around a little bit. It would be interesting to see if that happened. I would just wonder how the trade would go down, the cap, and what would have to be forfeited to actually get him over here. But it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting. Port City says, who do y'all want rounds 1 and 2? A little bit of draft talk here. Who do y'all want rounds 1 and 2?
I answer that yet until I kind of settle in.
Yeah.
And
how about this? Can you give a position? Can you give an idea of like I want at least this position in the first, this position in the second?
That's tough. I'm kind of in a weird boat because I want to eliminate right tackle from draft talk because I'm getting kind of. I mean, depending on how this goes, kind of sick of trying to
free agency, and you have free agency, of course. I want a veteran tackle, so I wouldn't even be looking. I wouldn't even be looking in the draft to get a starting offensive lineman in the draft. I'd be looking strictly at free agency. I want veterans out there to help lead and just help the young guys, Andre James and Alex Leatherwood. So those are the reasons right there.
I'm in the same spot. I mean, I'm probably going to go depending on how free agency goes. You kind of fill in the position of maybe a safety.
That's
or interior.
I'd be shocked. Maybe Hamilton.
Yeah.
If he even got there, but
I don't think he would.
Got there, but man,
linemen are just ever since Aaron Donald, he kind of screwed it up for the rest of us.
Yeah. But I've always thought about trading that first round pick.
Why not? I mean, you know why you think about that is because we've screwed up just about every first round pick in the last 3 years.
Yeah, that, and I'm just like, man, I want proven talent. You know, just to go with that. Like,
no green bananas.
Yeah, if you get a proven guy, I'd go grab him. Like, I've been wanting a defensive lineman from Washington. I feel like they have a ton of them. They have a guy, Matthew Ioannidis, that I think is pretty good over there. They have Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Chase Young, Montez Sweat. I feel like you would be able to probably talk to them and see if you could snatch up a defensive lineman, defensive tackle, because we don't have any defensive tackles right now. They're all free agents, really. Fallon, Thomas, Hankins. Who else do we have?
We got to bring back Thomas, dude. We got to bring back Thomas.
I like Fallon. I feel like he popped.
Me too.
Yeah, he popped. We just had a good rotation. I feel like we just had a good rotation.
But now he's the one that's coming off the knee injury.
Yep, he is. And it sucks because he was having a good game against the Chargers when it happened.
And it sucks being that size because you almost assume he's going to lose a little bit of his explosiveness, which was his strength.
Yep. Well, as I said, what do you guys think about Doug Marrone potentially being our O-line coach?
Better than Cable.
Yeah, definitely better than Cable, man. I'm just glad. I'm glad Cable gone. I did not like him. I'll just put it that way. I didn't like Cable at all. Just his track record. Every offensive lineman that started for us at the end of the season was drafted by us. and we're still having problems. So we're, it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. Brandon Parker, one of the worst linemen we had was Brandon Parker, and we've had him for 4 years. We had him since we've had Cole Miller.
Yeah. No, he's been a long running joke now for 4 years of get him out of there. And what do we do? I mean, he was our best option for the most part.
I feel like you should have thrown. I feel like they should have just kept the Luminor out there. However you pronounce his name.
Yeah. I like Parker as a backup if we have to.
Yeah, as a backup, yep. But Omar says Bill Zapp in 5 will be available, or we can draft Carson Strong who plays like Brady. Oh, man. I don't know if we're drafting a quarterback in the first round. I don't know if I could do that, man.
I don't know if you can compare anybody to Brady either.
Yeah, no. Although Carson Strong, he does have those legs like Brady, the way he moves. Jose Toscano says I'd be okay with right tackle Jermaine Afidi from Chicago. Oh, okay. Maybe he wears like a brace on his leg. He wears a brace on his leg. Carson Strong wears a brace on his leg. And I'm like, yeah, it reminds me of Brady. And the way he scrambles and runs, it just looks like he's like so slow when he's running and scrambling. And he has that movement, but like you said, you can't compare anybody to Brady, man. Bringing in our new GM or assistant GM, how do you feel about that? And this is probably gonna be my last question of the night. How do you feel about that? The assistant GM, I'm drawing a blank right now on his name, Champ Kelly.
Champ Kelly.
And the reason I bring it up is because you had brought up, 52. And so there's going to be connections. There's going to be connections there. Also, someone in the chat, RJ, says Hakeem Hicks is a free agent.
Ooh.
And I believe Hakeem Hicks was struggling with some injuries, but he was still productive throughout the year. What do you think about that pickup, man?
I think it's dope that we created a position because we like the guy so much.
Yeah.
In the same breath, I don't know. We got to see how this entire front office operates. Just because, even though I love, kind of the move. Shout out to Mike Mayock because I did love what he brought to the Raiders, and I want to see what the new general manager does for us. But I really want to see ultimately, how much say does Mark Davis have in this whole situation? How much, obviously he's really getting involved in this last year in football operations, more than, we probably even know, what I mean? To where it's him and Ventrell that are making the ultimate decision for this football team. So I think that's really what it comes down to more than anything. Champ Kelly coming in obviously seems like one of those dudes that's very similar to Rich Bisaccia. Obviously not a head coach, but in that front office role that players love. Whenever you got Khalil Mack, asking for him to be the general manager of Chicago, being a captain, being a leader of a football team, obviously he's a very loved guy. So that's the type of guys that I want to see in this Raiders organization. So I love it. But, where it goes from here is it's simple. Every time the Raiders do something that the fans hate, for me, I hated when the Raiders signed Michael Crabtree. I absolutely hated it. And I'll be flat out honest. And it was more because of my heart. And that's how, most Raider fans are going to operate and react is out of their heart. I'm like, that's a Niner, man. Like, he kind of sucked in San Francisco. Like, why did we sign this guy? Why did we bring him in? That's a dude that I used to root against. Then we bring him in and he succeeds and he becomes one of my favorite wide receivers. Like, I got my wife going to games wearing a Crabtree jersey with a gold chain because he was so iconic at that point. So it's things like that, whenever I see, Champ Kelly, sometimes it works in the opposite. We get all excited about John Gruden. We get all excited about these guys coming in. And it's usually those guys that don't quite work out, like Trent Browns, guys like that. I'm not going to bring up 84 because,
sheesh.
but it's things like that you get so excited about. It looks so good from the outside because we get so hyped up about it. But it doesn't always mesh with the Raiders. It doesn't always, mesh over time with the fan base. So whenever you get Champ Kelly coming in, that just could be a lover of the personnel and the players and hopefully just kind of make ends meet. He's not a big flashy pickup, but yeah, we love him. It seems like there's something strong there. Same with Josh McDaniels. Like, why are we bringing him in? It seems like there's a bad track record there. Those could be the guys that work out the most for us. So I'm in the position of, let's see how this thing plays out. And we're 10-7. We can't get much worse from last year, dude. We had everything against us. So just a little continuity and a little consistency. And, we can prepare ourselves for games and have a basically just a solid game plan that can be manipulated at any moment throughout the game. And we have a winning recipe for this football team, because I think that's really what we lacked on the stretch, because we were just grasping on to whatever was left over. We had the scraps of John Gruden's offense, and we were trying to make things work in that sense. Gus Bradley has obviously ran a defensive scheme that has said, I'm going to have my scheme. Hopefully you can beat it, instead of I'm going to design my scheme around beating you. And that really hurt us down the stretch too, because people figured out, hey,
people were beating us.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
what
like,
a bat.
Going to stick to it because it's his scheme, and he's hard-headed enough to stick with it. And teams are going to figure out, hey, it's the same defensive scheme that you've ran the last 10 years. Yep. So I don't know. I'm obviously a Raider fan after the statement by saying I'm low-key hyped so far of this offseason.
Yep.
And I'm still going to be hyped with whatever free agent we decide or that we pick up this offseason. And whatever this new front office picks in the draft, I'm going to find a way to be hyped about it.
Yep.
And no matter what, through all this discussion, I'm going to be there week one with whether you're there or anybody in the chat. Shout out to the chat for tuning in for the show. We're going to be there week one, ready to rumble, ready to go 1-0 and take this team back to the playoffs. And I think that's just that's the motto that I've always sat with as a fan. And it's going to pay off, man. We're close. And now it's just a matter of hopefully Mark hit the right reset button and everything falls in place now. And we just get this thing rolling.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Look, appreciate you coming on, dude. And I agree with everything you just said. At this point, I'm kind of on this path of it's playoffs or bust for the Raiders at this point forward, moving forward. We've already seen we've got a quarterback that could get us through adversity, that can get us to the playoffs. We have cornerstone pieces on the defense. We have cornerstone pieces on the offense that to continue to build. We got new head coach. We got a new GM. At this point, it is playoff or bust. There's no excuses. There's no excuses. We got to get this thing rolling. I appreciate you coming on, bro. You know what I mean? This is your first time sliding through. We've been on for an hour now. Appreciate everybody in the chat that pulled up. It was a fun show. Glad to talk with you, bro. Yeah. You have any projects coming up? You have anything? You gonna start getting stuff rolling again? What do you got in mind you want to put out there, bro?
So first, I'm firing up the podcast again, and I got a little lineup of guests coming on. Obviously, Raid here is gonna be one of the first. I got Raid.
Appreciate that. Y'all heard it. Y'all heard him.
So subscribe to the podcast. And that's not YouTube. That's podcast. So make sure you find your podcast platform, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
Just go download the podcast app on your iPhone, and boom, it's right there.
There you go. We should have a podcast dropping this weekend. I'll have Honcho coming on. I'm talking to my guy Graf a lot.
Shout out Graf.
Yeah, we'll be doing our thing. And of course, in Vegas, man, we're working on some stuff. Keep an eye out for Tropicana. And if you're in Vegas, guys, this weekend, or not this weekend, 2 weekends for the Super Bowl, I know Tropicana's throwing a big Super Bowl party. Go check them out, get some room rates. Check out the Black Hole. You guys know the Black Hole. I just became a member of the Black Hole recently. And
you doing the draft?
Yeah, so the NFL draft, man, we're working on it, man. I can't officially say anything yet, but we're working. Something's gonna be happening. Like, if you guys are gonna be in Vegas for the draft, we're gonna have something planned for 3 days of just Raider Nation madness, and get in there and get your draft fix, and then we're just gonna party it up, the rest of the day, and sleep in till 5 o'clock when the draft starts up on Friday, and then go again, and then be ready to go at 8 o'clock Sunday morning and get to the draft and be ready to go. So yeah, it's just a little grind. So
yes, most definitely. SBG, real quick before you go, man, is your podcast on Apple Podcasts, yes, and just to tell them the name. He said, "What's
Raider
the
Cody
podcast
podcast.
name?" Yep, that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do.
There's some interviews on there. If you guys want to backtrack, you can search Raider Cody podcast. I was actually, I'm going to hold on to this one forever. I was actually the first one to interview Max Crosby when he got drafted by the Raiders. So you guys should backtrack and listen to the podcast, the interview with Max Crosby. I mean, when he first became a Raider, it's crazy to see the growth of these guys, and that's what makes me love a lot of our players. It's like, man, they buy into it so much. I would have never thought that. I mean, what he looks like, what's off of Harry Potter, Malfoy, or what's his name? It looked like him coming out of college, and now he's, just, I mean, tatted up. He's got a Raider shield flashing on his arm, and just rocking silver and black, man.
And it's crazy. You get the interview, and now he's like, he's pretty. Before, first when he first came in, he didn't really have too much of a big name. Late round pick. Now you look at him, it's like, you seen this dude. Now he's a Pro Bowler. Everybody's all over ESPN, whatever the case. And
crazy.
Just blowing up. But yeah, man, that's dope to hear. Like you heard the man. All you gotta do is go to Apple Podcasts, download the podcast. This is the app. Type in Raider Cody. You're gonna see it there first. Appreciate you coming on, bro. Welcome to Raider Tape. Appreciate everybody in the chat. The chat was lit, man. Like I said, appreciate you coming on, man. And until next time, y'all, check y'all later. Raider Tape.